Board of County Commissioners, our public meeting. And to begin with, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I am Commissioner Dave Strohmeyer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm joined by Commissioner Josh Slotnick. Commissioner Juanita Vero is unable to make it today. We begin with a land acknowledgement, recognizing that this event today takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Cheryl, would you be so kind as to share some opening logistics for us?
Well, hello, everyone. If you are joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you are joining us in person, we'll have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Moise room. There will be opportunity to speak during the meeting for public comment virtually and in person. We ask that all speakers today speak slowly, clearly. This helps with the accuracy of the closed captioning. If you're on Microsoft Teams, you'll like to speak. When discussion has been open for a public comment, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. This is the small hand button. If you're calling in on the phone, you'll need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Once called upon, you'll need to hit hit *6 to unmute. We also have assisted listening devices. If anyone needs one, please find me during the meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Dave.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. We have two proclamations today. The first is March for Meals. Josh, would you like to do that one?
Thanks, sir. Okay, I will read this proclamation. Whereas the Meals on Wheels program at Missoula Aging Services is a valuable resource to older adults in Missoula County. And whereas in the past year in Missoula County, more than 120 Meals on Wheels volunteer drivers delivered 125,462 meals to 772 homebound individuals. Community lunch sites served 34,920 meals to 793 clients. And whereas volunteer drivers for Meals on Wheels are the backbone of this program, through their dedication to bring not only hot, nutritious meals to clients, but also caring, concern, and attention to their welfare. And whereas Missoula Aging Services counts on these volunteers and the support of the community to serve the growing numbers of older residents who need this service to remain in their homes. And whereas we wish to raise awareness and support for Meals on Wheels in Missoula and surrounding areas. Now, therefore, we, the Missoula Board of County Commissioners and the Mayor of the City of Missoula, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as March for Meals Month in Missoula, Montana. And we invite citizens to thank the caring volunteer drivers, recognize the value of this service to homebound elders and adults with disabilities, and encourage citizens to volunteer as Meals on Wheels drivers so elderly may remain in their homes.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to comment on this proclamation or March for Meals Month? All right. We will move on to our second proclamation today. This is in recognition of Women's History Month. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of the United States in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, and whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of life in the United States by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home, and whereas American women continue to complete the majority of uncompensated domestic work, and whereas American women have played a unique role throughout history by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the United States, and whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in the United States, and whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement, And whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military, and whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, and the civil rights movement and other movements, especially the peace movement, all of which create a more fair and just society for all. And whereas a Montana woman, Jeanette Rankin, was the first woman elected to the United States House of Representatives, and whereas Missoula County became the first in the United States to vote for an all-female commission in 1985 when Barbara Evans, Mary Ann Dussault, and Janet Stevens served on the board. And whereas, despite these many contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked, undervalued, and omitted in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. Now, therefore, we, the Missoula Board of County Commissioners, and Andrea Davis, Mayor of the City of Missoula, do hereby recognize the month of March 2024 as Women's History Month, and invite all citizens to observe this month and to celebrate International Women's Day on March 8th, 2024, with programs, ceremonies, and activities, and to visit www.womenshistorymonth.gov and montanawomen'shistory.org to learn more about the vital contribution of women to the country and state's history. And this is signed by the Board of County Commissioners and Mayor Andrea Davis. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? And this is, come on up, and this is the opportunity if there's anything that's not otherwise on the agenda, preferably within the jurisdiction of Missoula County. We cannot help you on some matters, but if it's within our jurisdiction, please come on up as you have. Welcome, Richard. Oh, yeah, if you could hit the button at there we go.
This is just like being on people's court. I'm super into it.
Guilty.
No, not guilty. I am a hostile witness, sir. I am here to ensure that I'm following a respectful, correct course of action by coming here first to ask the commissioners for assistance in clearing up. I wouldn't call it a gray area, more of a taupe, I think would be a better color choice. We had a fantastic community conversation in East Missoula 2 weeks ago, and it was very eye-opening. And I was heartened to see my demographic showed up. I'm very, used to the East Missoula Community Council. I served on that. It's a different vibe than the young kids that moved in to make it a better community in the last 20 years. But at that event, I'm going to blame this on you guys for having the event. The woman who spoke to us about emergency preparedness really freaked us out. And it dovetailed with something that we have been concerned about quite a bit, which is the difference between a neighborhood and a community. East Missoula is in a taupe area. Community is built with schools and churches and stores and civic engagement and getting to know your neighbor. I can tell you in East Missoula, without anything other than Ole's and the Reno, if there were to be a disaster of any kind, communicating with our neighbors would be next to impossible because we don't know who they are. And it certainly isn't because there's a sprawl. It's because there are no central locations for neighbors to meet neighbors and engage with neighbors. And, that is something hopefully that will be resolved someday. But what I think is of immediacy would be a conversation we did have was representation. And we've had this conversation before. You represent East Missoula. But when it comes to things like utilities and it comes to voting on certain things, we do not have a vessel or a channel to do so. And I would very much like to attend the next city council meeting and be on the agenda as opposed to not on the agenda, because I'll dress better. I'm just kidding. I honestly am afraid if I do try to speak at a city council meeting, they will say, "You're not a resident, sit down." In this case, the city council and the mayor are our utility company. We don't vote for them at all. We have no say at all. They set water rates, they decide projects, they decide all sorts of things. And as a utility company, I'm sorry to say it, but the city of Missoula sucks. What I would like to discuss at that city council meeting is divesting the mayor's office and any upper city administration from Missoula Water and making it an autonomous position within the Missoula city government that can't be swayed by conflict of interest or can also accept input from the customers. This is just kind of a thing that I think is going to become a real big issue as we become more taupe in the future. One of the things that we did discuss at the community conversation were not having a voice on things that do get voted on, such as Marshall Mountain, such as the Sharon fishing access, those kinds of things. We entrust you to make great decisions for us. But when Marshall Mountain is purchased, people need to drive through East Missoula to get there. And if we had had a council person that represented us, I think that council person probably would have said, no, not until you fix Highway 200. And putting the cart before the horse in this case with the Canyon River development and the new development that is coming off of Summers, somehow they got annexed into the city. Whatever is clever, we hate them. They're East Missoula, they're bougie. We're East Missoula, we keep it real. But there is a have and a have not in East Missoula, and the haves seem to be the ones that live on golf courses. So what I would like to discuss at the city council meeting is a clarification of who represents us, and if there isn't someone who represents us, what do we do to go about having a voice and a vote that these people that will be going to Marshall Mountain are using our roads. And I'm sure you know the statistics of the fatalities on Highway 200, right?
Well, and I would absolutely encourage you to speak to the city council, and they will not kick you out if I'm pretty certain of that,
Right.
that you can.
But it would be even
Speak.
sweeter, Dave, if I could possibly put on the agenda with the grace and the auspices of the county commissioner saying, this is something that is worth discussing.
Yeah, we have no control over the city council's agenda.
Right.
And
that's kind of an issue.
And well, and so I'll just say a couple things. And yeah, absolutely appear before the city council. Even be better than that, or equal to that, would be seeing if you could get on the agenda of one of their committee meetings. And
I
that
was denied.
Okay, well, then started public comment with the full council. I will say you're speaking to the right folks because we are the ones who made the decision about Marshall Mountain. And
Trust me, we love Marshall Mountains. It's great, but fixing the highway has been a priority for 25 years. And, you know, again, coming back to what builds community and neighborhoods, these people that are coming to recreate, it's not like they're going to stop in East Missoula and purchase a Gatorade because we don't have such things. We have a stunning lack of social services. Your health department were also participants in that event. And the fact that Smart 911 is something that 90% of my neighbors know nothing about. And we live between Mount Jumbo and Mount Sentinel. So if there is a fire, so, you know, I can blame the emergency preparedness lady for freaking us all out, but we want to know who our neighbors are, or we're going to do a phone tree like the House on the Prairie or whatever. But it's not until there is some clear delineation of who do you speak to if you are a county resident paying for municipal services, and we don't have a separation, we're beholden to people we don't vote for. We're beholden to people we, you know, they don't represent us. And, you know, God bless Zoe Zephyr, I love her, right? But if she's the person that's discussing the future of Highway 200, she's not our senator.
you're going to have to move on, Richard, but yeah, point well taken. And
But is it?
What's that?
Is it?
It is. I don't know that there's anything that can be done to change the scenario you're suggesting in terms of representation for a different jurisdiction.
But if we're in a taupe area, is it possible to have one of the council seats include the taupe area
no,
in their purveyance?
no, there's not that chance. But what I can say is that we not infrequently meet with the mayor and can have a discussion about what you're describing in terms of, is there some other workaround to have your voice in the mix? I don't know. It's a conversation we can have. It's a conversation you should absolutely bring before the city council. Josh has something intelligent to say, I think, maybe.
I guess, you know, going back to the original point, Spectrum, right? That's a utility. We don't vote for Spectrum, and if they suck at their jobs, we fire them. Okay, so if you look at the masthead on the website of Missoula Water, the CEO is Andrea Davis.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, so I don't know for sure, but I'm wondering if there's somebody who works for Andrea whose job it is to be the director of the water department.
There is.
I'm just, and is, again, I don't know the answer to this, but I wonder, do they have does that organization, does that entity have an advisory board?
No, they do not. And that is why East Missoula, we overpaid $200,000 in our sewer SID because somebody wasn't paying attention. Like, that's not exactly a clarion call of trust.
Mhm.
So because we're neither here nor there, we're not part of the city, we're not a hamlet, which is super cute. We're just kind of in existence.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are people who manage to pass certain things and get to be annexed into the city, even though they're further into East Missoula than East Missoula themselves. If we were annexed into the city, there would be no taupe.
Mhm.
It would be black and white.
Right.
But if I get a municipal misdemeanor for touching my curb box and I don't live in the city, that's a problem. And here at People's Court, it's Judge Wapner or Judge Judy.
So, Richard, we do have to move on, but
That's fine, sir.
thanks for
So your
sharing.
recommendation is to just go and roll the dice and hope that they.
Oh, and
let
we
me
can
speak.
definitely, we'll definitely talk with Andrea too. There should be some mechanism. If there
Right.
isn't, they should create one for people
Well,
who
there are a lot of
receive
people
water
who came
services
to the
but don't have
meeting
an access.
and would like to go to the city council meeting with the same concern as I, but we fear that without being on the agenda, we will not have the time to discuss our
Believe me, having served once on the city council, you can go into the wee hours of the night if you line up 3-minute increments of folks providing testimony. So they will not shut that down. I'm pretty sure that has not changed, but the better and more effective thing, well, I won't say it's more effective. One thing that we can promise to do is when we meet with Andrea Davis next, is to bring up these concerns.
And if I can get a word in here, I think you're right. You should have access to some decision makers around your water company, and there should be some mechanism. And if they don't have one, I think they should create one. We can, because it's not just you. There's probably other folks too that get city water but aren't in the city. Such a mechanism should exist.
Right. So I guess, sorry, y'all, but not an agenda item or just comment on
Just if,
items not on the public agenda.
yeah, you will not,
And
you
carry
will, I
more
guarantee
weight.
you will not get on the agenda unless a city council member puts you on the agenda.
Who govern our water.
Yes,
Okay, that
that is the
totally makes
catch-22 you're in. So I would say, again, it's in order to cut through any of the bureaucratic impediments, show up and offer non-agenda public comment like you are today. And you never know, they might offer some grace and give you more than 3 minutes. So
Richard, on the highway, if I remember right, and Shane can help me out, I think, did we reach out to MDT about a speed study on that section of highway?
well, and
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
so, yeah, that is correct. And there's a $20 to $30 million grant ask in the works to address the very things that you're,
Completely change that.
Exactly.
and so it's not like we're just sitting on our thumbs here doing
I
nothing.
would
So
not accuse you of that. I would just ask for a seat at the table to make decisions that affect a neighborhood and a community.
thanks, Richard.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any other public comment on items not on today's agenda? Anyone online? Okay. Seeing none, our current claims list, and this would be claims as of February 14th through February 27, 2024. Claims received by the Commissioner's Office total $2,688,870.11. We have 3 public hearings today. For each of these, we'll begin with a staff report, then have an opportunity, if appropriate, for either the applicant or applicant's representative to say a few words. We'll open it up for public comment, and then the commission will deliberate and take action. So our first public hearing is on the Iverson Slocum Lane aggregation and agricultural covenant lifting.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Jenny.
This is not going to be nearly as entertaining as Richard, but this is a request from Dennis and Charlotte Iverson to lift an agricultural covenant through the means of an aggregation. And let me just say, Cheryl, sorry, for the record, this is Jenny Dixon with Planning, Development, and Sustainability. This comes to you as a hearing because we are a party, as a county, we're a party to the covenant that was established in 1991 when they first placed the covenant on the property. The general location, as you can see here on the vicinity map, is along Highway 200. It's about midway between Bonner, West Riverside and the Highway 83 turnoff. And of course, on the south side of the highway, accessed by Potomac Road to Swanson Lane and then to Slocum Lane. The property is unzoned. The growth policy calls for open and resource. It is not in the floodplain. And as I said, the access is off of Highway 200. And this is the property that has the agricultural covenant on it that they are asking to remove. State law and Missoula County subdivision regulations allow for removal of an ag covenant if you can restore the original lot lines, which is not always the case, but fortunately for the applicant, that is the case for this ag covenant, which was first established in 1991. The property owners are still the same and are asking to essentially remove this lot line that goes across the middle, which defines this 4-acre tract, which is unbuilt on as the ag tract, and then the 6-acre tract, which, as I understand it right now, does not have a home on it, although it has an address. It is right now a shop and a garage. And I'm thinking there may also be a septic system on that property, or if not, I believe there are plans for it. And the reason for the request is that with all of the things going on the 6-acre tract, there really wasn't enough room or proper placement for the home, and they're looking to create the 10-acre tract for their daughter. As I understand it, also Dennis and Charlotte live adjacent at 32200 Slocum Lane. So there's the added bonus of having your children live close to you. The end result then, if the exemption is approved, it would be a single tract that resembles what was done through 2971, COS 2971 here, a 10-acre tract. So as I've described, the history was this tract was created through occasional sale in 1983 as that 10-acre tract. In 1991, the Iversons, as well as Cochran, I think Mr. Cochran, created this ag tract. And I'm not aware of it being used for ag or what the purpose of that was. And the applicant may be able to address that if you have questions about that today. And here, as I've described, what's going on the property and ultimately the request to combine that. And in doing so, in your packet, there is a draft resolution that would be recorded that would lift the ag covenant if you approve that today. And then the applicant would file a new survey concurrently or after that covenant is filed to record the new 10-acre tract. We did not find any evidence of evasion at all. Even one item where we did answer with a bold response, which can be an indication of evasion, has the claimant engaged in prior exempt transactions involving the original tract? Yes, 32 years ago to create an ag exemption that they're now undoing. So we would not consider that as an indication of evasion. And so I have before you the recommended motion of approval with no conditions and recording the lifting of the ag covenant.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak to this? I do have one question. Yeah, welcome, Denny. Looks like the microphone is still on. Yeah, going back in history a little bit, what was the reason for the ag exemption in the first place?
Is this on?
It is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm Dennis Iverson from Potomac. So this was all part of a 20-acre tract of the old Plohar Ranch. My wife and I purchased 5 acres of that 20-acre tract with a home already on it. And we had a neighbor directly to the north of us, John Corcoran, who also had a 5-acre tract with a home and a shop on it. Then this 10 acres came up for sale next to us. And so we bought it together. He needed 6 acres to get a little bit more of the higher ground for a shop and so forth. So I said, yeah, you take the 6 acres, we'll take 4. And so that's how it was split. So we used
our 4 acres just as cow pasture. You know, we'd put some heifers in there once in a while or bulls or whatever for the ranch. But then our kids came back and so, then Mr. Corcoran passed away and we had first right of refusal on the 6 acres with the shop. So we purchased that. But the kids have come back, both our daughters and their families. And our younger daughter and her family would like to build a home there. And because the shop's already there, there's not a lot of room for a home. And so the home would be right on the edge of the 4 and 6 acre tract. So the rest of the 4 acre tract will probably will remain in pasture, but it's just like as it has been. But that's the reason for what we're doing in a nutshell. So,
Okay. Any questions, Josh?
thank you.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any public comment on this proposed ag covenant lifting? Okay, seeing none.
I would move that the request by Dennis and Charlotte Iverson to aggregate parcels 1 and 2 COS number 3999 and to lift the agricultural covenant from parcel 1 COS number 399 be approved as presented in the exemption application affidavit, and that the lifting of the agricultural covenant be recorded at the Missoula County Clerk and Recorder as shown in the attached resolution.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming in and good luck. All right, thank you. Our second public hearing is I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Is it the Sermon family transfer?
That is correct.
Okay, Laura. And again, we'll begin with a staff report. We'll have some questions for the applicant in this case with a family transfer, open it up for public comment, and then have commissioner discussion.
Thank you, commissioners. For the record, my name is Laura Collins, Planner 1 with Planning Development and Sustainability. Today I'm presenting a request for a family transfer subdivision exemption by Robin Sermon. Here's the location of the request near the Miller Creek area at 3199 Lorraine Drive. This is the current conditions of the lot, so approximately 10.3 acres with 1 residential development. So the applicant proposes to transfer 1 new 3.5 acre tract, or excuse me, retain the 3.5 acre tract and transfer the 6.8 acre tract. The property is zoned rural residential small ag, which has a density of 1 dwelling unit per acre. The proposed lots will be 3.5 and 6.8 acres. This is the proposed layout of the transfer. So lot 2A having 3.5 and lot 2B with 6.8. We requested agency comments. We received 1 from Missoula Public Health. Just simply that the transfer will require state sanitation review or cite applicable exemptions. This request was reviewed for the general evasion criteria and rebuttable presumptions. Only 1 evasion criteria was triggered. The original tract was transferred within the past 2 years, but no rebuttable presumptions were triggered. So staff did not find that there appeared to be an attempt to evade subdivision review in the claimant's request for family transfer.
Is the applicant here? And could you come on up to the microphone and we have a few questions for you.
All right, Robin, just make sure that light is green and state your name for the record.
Robin Sermon.
Yeah, maybe come just a little closer to the microphone. There we go.
Okay, better?
Yep.
Okay, Robin, thank you. Robin, did you buy the property with the intent of dividing it?
No,
Do you or your transferee intend to transfer the property within the next year?
no,
Have you talked to anyone at the county about going through subdivision review?
nope,
And will the property be developed?
that's the plan.
Will the recipient of the property be residing on the property?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, here's the recommended motion.
Okay. While you were up here, Robin, a question for you. How old is the recipient of the property?
23,
Okay.
newly married.
Okay.
John.
Yes.
Ask John a question. This is me just looking for, me being curious, and I should know the answer, but I'm sorry. What is a warranty deed?
A warranty deed is a type of instrument of conveying real property. It's generally considered the highest level of a deed. It's probably what you got when you bought your home.
Okay.
And it's called a warranty deed because the seller is making certain warranties about the property that you wouldn't get in another lesser form of deed, like a quitclaim deed,
Okay.
for instance, is considered the sort of the least substantial deed. Essentially, with a quitclaim deed, the property owner is saying, I'm just giving you whatever interest I have in this property. I'm not making you any promises at all. But with a warranty deed, you're making certain binding commitments that you have about the land that you're selling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you bought this in 2022?
Correct.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Robin. I don't have any other questions for you. This is a public hearing also. Is there any public comment on this proposed family transfer from folks online or in the room? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. How about a motion?
I move to approve the request by Robin Sermon to utilize the family transfer exemption to create and transfer one parcel as presented in the subdivision exemption affidavit.
Second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, good luck with your transfer. And our third and final public hearing today is a resolution of intent creating an RSID for the Rowan Street improvements. John Hart, it looks like this is yours.
I'm gonna kick things off. But first, I had something that I wanted to share with Richard. Richard, there's another option to solve your problem. You could get a petition circulated in East Missoula within some, defined geographic boundary, take it around and get a third of the people to sign it, third of the registered electors. You don't even have to get the property owners necessarily. And the city would have to put that annexation petition on the ballot. Yeah. The added bonus of taking that petition around your neighborhood is you meet all of your neighbors too. You already, all right. Anyways.
You can take the director of our Office of Emergency Management along also, and we can kill multiple birds with one stone. No, thanks to Deputy County Attorney John Hart for that advice.
So what I have substantively here, commissioners, is a resolution of intent to create an RSID for improvements to Rowan Street. And Cheryl has a visual aid that she's going to pull up to get us oriented to where Rowan Street is, which is kind of South County. There you see Highway 93 to the east, and this is south of Lolo. So the neighbors out here got a petition put together that was signed by more than 50% of the property owners in the proposed district. That petition was verified by the clerk and recorder's office. And now we've prepared at least we've prepared to take the first step to create this RSID. You might recall it is a 9-step process under Montana law. And this is the first step, which is a resolution of intention to create this. As proposed, the total costs of the improvements are $573,998.18. And the petitioners are proposing to finance or pay over the course of 10 years $234,000 of that amount, which leaves $339,998.18, which will come in the form of an in-kind contribution from Missoula County by way of the Public Works Department that is going to do the work, hopefully later this spring or summer, and that will be a donation of labor and equipment. And so the residents out here are paying for materials and other incidental costs related to the construction. As part of the packet today, you have a draft of the resolution of intention. It has 3 exhibits. Exhibit A is a map showing all 125 properties that the residents propose to include in this RSID. It also includes a more detailed list. Exhibit B is a more detailed list of each property, including a legal description and showing that their share, their 125th share of that $234,000 is approximately $1,872. These residents have proposed just spreading the cost of the improvements equally amongst all 125 properties, and that again is $1,872. They're proposing to pay for that in assessments on their property tax bill over the course of 10 years. And if you pass this resolution of intention today, the next thing that will happen is the clerk and recorder will publish notice of this resolution in the Missoulian on March 16th and March 23rd. And the clerk and recorder's office will also send a copy of the resolution and all 3 exhibits. And I should add, Exhibit C, the 3rd exhibit, is a detailed breakdown of the costs and how the amount of $1,872 per property is calculated. That packet gets mailed to every single property owner, and there is a period then where property owners can submit written protests to the county or come to the next hearing, which is April 25th, and protest for whatever reason why they don't feel like this RSID is equitable or why they shouldn't be included, or however they want to lodge a protest. So on April 25th would be the day where then you county commissioners consider all the written and public protests that you hear at that meeting and decide whether or not to adopt a resolution establishing the RSID. And that would be the publishing notice is the second step. The protest period is the third step. And the hearing on April 25th is the fourth step in creating this RSID. That's what I have to say about this. I know that Shane Stack is here to talk about some of the specifics of the road construction project, Public Works timeline and ability to do this project. And there's also an individual from the property owners committee who's here, ready, willing, and able to answer some questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Shane, do you want to describe a little bit more the specifics of what will happen out there?
And Shane, a little history, like how did this come to be?
Sure, yeah. So Rowan Street is a non-maintained county road. And I think the folks that live in the area wanted improvements, and I'll let our guest also talk about maybe some of the history as well. But one of the benefits of improving this roadway is also maintenance. And once this roadway is improved, Missoula County then would take on that particular location of roadway for future maintenance in perpetuity. I think the benefit for the locals is that they're essentially just paying for materials, and one of the things that probably isn't covered in John's numbers is the fact that Missoula County is going to receive 28,000 cubic yards of millings from the Highway 93 project, and we'll stockpile that material in Lolo. We'll be able to haul that in lieu of placing a base down. We'll save some money right there just using that material. So I think the price will probably be lower, and their final assessment will be based on, I'm assuming, John, their final assessment is going to be based on the actual cost, not on the rough estimates today.
Correct. This $1,872 is an amount. If you adopt this resolution, it in the future cannot exceed this amount, but it can definitely be less. I should note, though, if it turns out that the actual cost is still $1,872, the assessment will be slightly higher than that because they will have to pay whatever interest rate is on that financing. And we won't know what that interest rate is, so we won't know the exact amount of the assessments until the finance department is able to secure municipal bonds and sell those.
I think the other thing that the pricing on the work too, just to keep in mind, is our estimates of the 215,000 was based on $68 a ton for asphalt, which was last year's pricing. That potentially goes up. So I don't know. There may be a higher cost, but I think the overall cost potentially comes down with the millings availability. So anyway, schedule. There's an irrigation ditch that's on the project. The sooner the better for that piece. We'll want to, try to get that in as soon as we can. If we don't make that, we could still haul in a bunch of material. We just wouldn't be able to get that pipe in until the fall. So I see this project probably being finished very late fall or potentially next summer. And then we would assess, at the end of the day, we're probably going to assess them not this year, but then the following year anyway. So any questions?
How did this come to be? Did you go to the neighbors, or the neighbors come to you?
They came to us and asked, if there are ways that could be paved and maintained, and the RSID was that option, and we had done it on 29th and North, and we gave them that example. And so far, I think working with that group, they've been pretty positive with the opportunity. So
I was at 29th and North last night, actually. And the road is so nice.
Well, let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. Come on up and state your name for the record and let us know some of the backstory here.
I'm David Boring. I was on the RSID committee. It's not really evident, maybe from this map, but Rowan is the only access for all these lots. So there are not other ways to get into the neighborhood. I've lived there since 1995. We've struggled with Rowan Road, potholing. We spend, right now, we spend $38,000 a year in road maintenance. And we tried to pave it years ago, but, we have no equity. So this is just a fantastic opportunity, we thought, for the homeowners. I think it's going to aid in maintainability and safety. The thing gets all potholed. A lot of people like to walk on Rowan Road. And when cars are trying to dodge potholes and people are trying to dodge potholes walking, it can get dicey. And it's been my experience, part of that Rowan Road is quite sloped. We have a paved driveway, and once the sun can get down and hit that asphalt, we have a lot of icing conditions. It improves the safety because the ice will come off of it to where just frozen dirt, it can hold the ice and make it very, very slick. So we're pretty excited about it if we can get it through.
Great, thank you. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
What's the protest threshold?
If there was 50% or more, you can't move forward.
Sam, I'm assuming you're here for this. Did you have anything? Okay. All right, is there any public comment on this resolution of intention? The first of a multi-step process.
Yeah, out of motion. Ready for motion?
Absolutely.
I would move that the board sign a resolution of intention to create a rural special improvements district for improvements to Rowan Street.
Second, any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right, let it begin. Thanks, Dave, for joining us
thanks,
today
Dave.
on this.
Thanks for you guys' work on the RSID too. I remember these are complicated. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
It's a big benefit to the neighborhood.
Anything else to come before the commission today? All right, seeing none, we will be adjourned.